What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your cooking enthusiast of a host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkhereLady and r/Today I fudged up because there weren't enough posts in IDontWorkhereLady. So that's why I put this in, and because I like it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Okay, this story's called Can of Robot Kick-Ass. I've never been on Reddit, but when I heard about this subreddit, I knew I had a story to tell. A bit of background. Last year, I took about 2 months of MMA courses. I had never gotten in a fight, but I have been itching for one ever since I took the course. Fast forward a couple of months, I'm at a local Aldi's. I am and was in college at the time, so I barely get any sleep and I can be very monotone. That particular day, I had stayed up all night studying for a test and was in no mood for anyone's crap. I see a little boy, probably 4 or 5 years old, jumping for a cereal box. There was an older gentleman in a wheelchair next to him. He calls me over. Despite my crappy mood, I can't say no to children or the elderly. I treat my elders with respect, and little kids are so full of wonder and excitement that I take any chance I get to leave a positive impact. The man in the wheelchair asked me to help his grandson get his favorite cereal. I tell the man, sure, and ask the little boy, which cereal do you want? "The Fruit Loops," he said. So with my immense height, I was 5'6" by the way, I grab a box of Fruit Loops for the child. The man thanks me and hands me a 5. But I put my hand in between us and say, "My pleasure, sir," and go back to my shopping. I'm trying to decide which cereal to get when I notice a middle-aged man staring at me. We will call him Male Karen. My best friend works at an Aldi's and tells me this happens a lot when a customer wants attention. I hate having people stare at me. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. I shrug it off and set my eyes on a cereal, Blueberry Frosted Mini Wheats. I didn't have a cart, I was only there for a couple of things. They only had one box and it was pretty crumpled. My friend tells me that product is easily damaged as the items on stores' arriving pallets are thrown together pretty mismatched. I pick up the box and stare at it for a second, half admiring my choice and half inspecting the damage. As I stare at it, I feel a rough tap on my shoulder. I'm easily startled and I hate unknown physical contact. So I flinch and let out a shaky "God!" as I run towards my aggressor. It was Male Karen. "Are you just gonna stand there or are you gonna come help me?" It took me a second to process as I was running on negative 12 hours of sleep. My happy demeanor from helping the elderly man and his grandson was gone. I stare at him for a few seconds, blank-faced, and respond in my monotone voice. "What?" "I said, you need to help me. Now where are the damn canned foods?" This was my first time in Aldi's, but I decided to go because I only needed a couple of things. I responded to Male Karen, keeping my monotone, because I had already had enough of his crap. I told him, "I don't know, dude." I see Male Karen getting red. This man had a short temper. "You work here, that means you have had training on the store layout. Now, I'll ask you again, where are the damned canned foods?" Male Karen was now in my face yelling this at me. It probably would have been very intimidating, but my MMA classes made me either fearless or reckless. I didn't move an inch. "What makes you think I work here?" I say in my calm, robot voice. "You're in uniform and I just saw you help that cripple out." I could see a vein bulge in Male Karen's head as he said this. Like I said, my friend works at an Aldi, so I know the uniform. They wear a navy blue polo that has an Aldi logo on the left breast, with a gray collar, gray shoulders, and gray sides with blue jeans and safety boots. I was wearing a red V-neck, black jeans, a hat, important for later, and my safety boots because they're the only shoes I have with soles. I tell Mel Karen, still in my HAL 9000 voice, "Look dude, I don't work here and you're starting to peek me off, so please step off." Probably not the best thing to say to an angry person, but he was making me sick. I decide I wasn't in the mood to shop that day, so I turn away from Male Karen, put my cereal back, then, as I put my arms to my side, "Hannibal, do your thing." The mother trucker sucker punched me in the jaw. Now, I could have gotten the manager, and I could have pressed charges, but none of that was going through my mind at the moment. Even if it had, I was itching for a reason to test my newly learned MMA skills. Remember, I thought back to my first day at MMA. My coach taught me something he called the tornado choke. A command was input into my body and I executed. Male Karen was bigger than me, but barely. In the blink of an eye, I pull his right shoulder while pushing his left. As he was turning away from me, I slide my right hand under his neck, prepping him for a rear naked. With my wagina against Male Karen's throat, I pull him onto my knee while contemplating the rear naked. Male Karen tries to talk or yell, but my choke was too tight. Nothing came out. He tried to struggle away. This only sped the process up. After about 5 seconds, Male Karen goes limp. I didn't want to wake him prematurely, so I wait another 2 seconds and slowly set him on the floor. My choke was so fast and so flawless that nobody in the store noticed. I wanted to go home and I didn't want to go to the cops, so I confidently walked out of there. I parked in a couple of parking spots over because it was a nice day and I wanted an enjoyable walk. Lucky for me, because this meant the security cameras never got my license plate. Me wearing a hat also meant the cameras never caught my face. The next day, my friend told me about how a man got choked out at his work and was found by an employee. He told me they called the cops, but decided not to pursue because Male Karen threw the first punch and suffered no damage. My friend couldn't believe it was me at first, but judging the man's hat, clothes, and height in the video, he was pretty easy to convince. We still talk about this story in disbelief to this day. It was probably the highlight of my life. This story's called I Do Work Here, but Not Right Now. This happened in May 2013. Where I work, you are allowed to clock in and out up to 9 minutes early. And this particular day, I was doing that. One of my coworkers and I both did this regularly, and we both ended our shifts at the same time that day at 4:51 p.m., if memory serves me correctly. I will also add that where I work, company policy prohibits people from working off the clock. Requesting or requiring others to work off the clock and ignoring it when others are working off the clock is also prohibited. Signs are posted in the lounge and also near the time clock to remind us of this policy. This is important for later. After clocking out, my coworker and I walked to the entrance together, looking forward to the restful evening ahead of us. As we passed the final department before reaching the checkouts, an older coworker, I believe 75 years old at the time, approached us. I had no idea this woman had any degree of entitlement, but I learned in these few seconds how wrong I had been. Let's meet the cast. There's me, your host for this journey. Nice coworker. Entitled coworker. Other coworker. Entitled coworker was from another country, so her English was not perfect. She approached me with an empty shopping cart and asked me, "You clock out?" "Yes," entitled coworker replied. That is the best way I can write that sound people sometimes utter when they mean no. Entitled coworker then grabbed my arm and proceeded to pull me toward the empty cart, which she was expecting me to take to the front, despite my telling her that I had already clocked out for the day. Nice coworker, perhaps sensing an escalation, took the cart to the front because, as I described, he is a nice person. Me addressing entitled coworker, "You know, I'm off the clock, and for that matter, so is he. But he was going that way." I'm bowing up to my full height, which was significantly taller than entitled coworker. It is against company policy to request an associate to work off the clock. I then walk away from entitled coworker, who called after me, "You watch what you say." Other coworker, some days later, told me that entitled coworker had complained to him about the incident, telling him that since I could have taken the empty cart to the front, I was in the wrong for not doing so, and apparently ignoring the fact that she was breaking company policy by asking who she knew was off the clock to perform work. Not long after that, entitled coworker sadly became ill later that year and had to resign from her job. Entitled coworker passed away later that year, and I have been told she was still complaining about this incident while she was on her deathbed. Okay, well, that's kinda sad, but wow, how petty do you have to be to take that to your deathbed? Jeez. This story's called A Little Karen Revenge. This can probably put under a few other subs, but I think it fits here the best. Background. I used to be an hourly manager for Walmart, worked nights, and had all the typical Walmart people incidents. The company underwent a lot of changes and promotion was looking grim, so I left on good terms with the store manager. I still live close to my old store and needed to grab a few things before taking my family out to dinner. It was Father's Day, so I had khakis and a blue button-up on. I happened to bump into my former store manager and we caught up for a bit. We had been talking close to the registers, and as we parted, Karen came screeching at me. I looked at my former boss and he grinned and nodded. Here's the cast. Store manager. Me. Karen. Security. Your cashier has verbally assaulted me and has humiliated me in front of all those customers. Points at a cashier. Side note, I know this cashier. I hired and trained her. She had also babysat for me on several occasions. I'm good friends with her family. Slow down. Please start from the beginning. That little bench told me my money is no good here. She wouldn't run my card and called me trash. Me, seeing this as a scam for free stuff. Well, please come with me and security can take a statement. I am sure they can pull footage from the register while you fill it out. I begin heading towards the security office and she begins to follow. But at the mention of register footage, she stops cold and begins getting louder and irate. I want my items! I want them now! While she is screaming, I recognize the head of security walking our way. I understand, ma'am. Please come with me and this will go quicker. Security stops to talk to store manager and I gesture for Karen to follow. We make our way to the security office. Store manager and security in tow. Security opens the door and lets Karen in. Inside, the footage is already on the screen, and store manager moves past me into the room. Ma'am, we are gonna have to detain you till the police arrive. I will not wait. I want my things now. Who are you? I am the store manager, and apart from you yelling at this customer, he gestures to me. I grin at her. You have a stolen credit card on you, and you will wait for the police. Store manager shuts the door and turns to me. So, when are you coming back? As much fun as that was, I am not. I have had my fill of retail. My little revenge on Karen's. I never told her I worked there. I acted as a concerned customer. Turns out the card was stolen and flagged. She got upset over her stolen card getting declined. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. It's always a good day when another Karen ends up in jail. This story's called, Today I Fudged Up by Sending Dog Food to a Child I've Never Met for Their Birthday. So I wanted to start by saying that this all started off pretty innocently. A female coworker at work mentioned that their daughter's extended family is perhaps notorious for being a little thoughtless around their child's birthday and causing disappointment. Let's call the child in this story Sarah. So, Sarah is a huge fan of a famous kids' movies franchise and had been eyeing the figurines from the franchise for a long time. In the months leading up to her birthday, a relative started dropping hints that the child might be receiving those figures very soon. My coworker thought it was very sweet, at first thinking that this was a commitment by family to pitch in for a thoughtful gift. However, days before the birthday, my coworker mentioned how sweet it was that they were going to buy it for Sarah, and the relative looked surprised. Apparently, they just assumed the parent was going to get it, and were just having fun. Now, this wouldn't have been a big deal, except her mom already spent their budget on a new bike and some other odds and ends. I don't think the relative intended to trick them, but it all seemed terribly unfair. Cue me. I have a soft heart, and I thought, what the heck, and decided I would step in as a secret benefactor and save this little girl's birthday. I also just so happened to have the coworker's address from sending Christmas cards the previous year. So a quick little hop on my lunch break and I queued up the little figurines to be delivered that weekend via Amazon. I even made it so the address just had her name on it, so there could be no confusion about who it was for. Now, as it turns out, I had 2 packages going out that weekend, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. The Saturday delivery was a 15-pound bag of dog food that is auto-delivered by an Amazon subscription. I have it on auto so I don't have to remember to swing by the grocery store when we're running low. Also, as it turns out, there are a number of different places you can enter a new address on Amazon. One of those places apparently overwrites your auto delivery address. Guess which one I selected? So, Friday rolls around and I see a notification on my phone about the dog food delivery going out tomorrow. As luck would have it, I actually noticed that it was going to the wrong address and immediately put in a cancellation request. Crisis averted. On Monday, my coworker confronted me about the figurines. Apparently, it wasn't too hard to guess since she only told a handful of people about it, and thanked me graciously. Apparently, the bike they bought had some problems with the derailleur and had to be fixed, so her kid couldn't even enjoy the bike. She was really down about it when they noticed the package by the front door. Sarah got help from her mom to open it and apparently wouldn't stop playing with the toys until she finally ran out of energy. My coworker showed me pictures of all the places the figures now live in her household. Of course, Elsa had to live in the freezer. All in all, things were great. Her kid was happy, I was happy, and everything worked out. Except, here is where I messed up. When I canceled the dog food, I only canceled that one delivery. Auto deliveries are a monthly service. The next part of the story is as my coworker told it to me. The package was so heavy it blocked their front door from opening all the way, so they had to exit through the back door, move it, then drag the package inside. Since it was addressed to Sarah, they thought it was a late gift and they dragged it upstairs to Sarah's room and gathered the family around to see what it was. My coworker said she didn't think it was from me at the time and honestly thought her sister had pulled through with an extravagant gift. They tore it open. Dog food. My coworker was puzzled. My coworker's husband was puzzled. The little girl turned around to her parents and said, "Are we getting a puppy?" And that's the story of why I'm the worst person ever. That was pretty funny.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.